I could put you in the brig for what you've done, but I won't do it.
Technical glitches galore.
Who are you?
My name is Pussy Galore.
But I think we're okay now. This is Two Owls, One Pod. We're a spinoff from the web series The Two Dicks about 1950s moronic detectives who are idiots, politically incorrect. Check it out. It's on YouTube for the most part. Anyways, on today's episode, I'm with my partner, Al Romas. He's on Oasis of the Seas, Royal Caribbean's Oasis of the Seas. And I'm on the Radiance of the Seas up in Alaska. And we have a special guest today, but it's called Guess the Guest.
Guess the guest!
Where I don't really know who the guest is. So Al's going to give me some clues. Al, give me some clues.
You got it there, Rhode Island breath. This guy is also not New England. I'm going to say he's a Northeastern comedian who began, I believe, maybe on Long Island. Let's say began his comedy career on Long Island. And I'll start with that. I'm throwing that out there as a first hint.
And he's a cigar smoker is what you mentioned off air. A cigar smoker. Okay, so I do have it narrowed down. I have a list here.
Okay. Oh, you have a few names. Okay.
Yeah, I did. And I actually had Paul Agata first, but you've just ex-nayed him by giving me those.
Yeah, no, not a cigar.
And I was gonna ask if it was a New England guy, because I know that Joe Unetti is back in the cruise game after retiring, and he's a cigar smoker. And he also made a guest appearance on The Two Dicks when we pranked him.
He did. I think Joe is in Europe right now, though. I think he's on the symphony for 3 or 4 months. So yeah, he's out of the loop. Loopy.
There's more to the story. And then I was going to go with Gary Cowett. He's in Vegas now, but he is originally from New England. But you said Long Island, so cigar smoker from Long Island. I got it narrowed down. I believe he doesn't live on Long Island anymore. Does he live in Vegas?
He does live in Las Vegas.
Okay, so that's going to be Greg Vac. Greg
Vac. Let's welcome him.
Come on. Woo! Where did he go? Oh, there he is.
I had to get up. My back, it wasn't easy.
Impressive detective skills there.
Very good
work.
work.
Yes. Well, I have a gift.
That was pretty good. It was quick.
Hey, welcome, buddy.
I thought we'd be here a little bit.
Thanks, Al. Good to see you.
And welcome. Same here. Welcome to the podcast world. You have a new podcast called New Bits.
New Bits with Vinny Coppola. Yeah. And it's, we've done 4 episodes only so far. And basically it's just geared towards writing material and seeing, we want to bring each other an idea every week, work on it. And then the hopefully then be able to try to perform it. And then the following week, get back to each other and how it went. And if we can, record it, so play it, so everybody listening can hear how we did it and all that kind of stuff.
And people can chime in and try to tweak it.
Yeah, absolutely. It will, there's comments are open. If anybody wants to ever leave a comment or an idea, I'll take a free idea.
Hell yeah!
If it works, I'll take it.
Hell yeah! Yeah, have you worked on, because you've been doing a new bit this week? Have you brought that on the?
That was
Was that on the podcast?
Yes.
And then from that. Okay.
Yeah. So Al saw me do it probably 5 or 6 times maybe.
Oh yeah,
this week. Yeah. And when you do that, it's interesting because even Al will give me suggestions. He'll send me a message,
right?
Like the old days with the comics. Go ahead, get a line for you. Yeah,
like the old days when you'd sit around and watch each other and then feedback.
Well, that's the fun of the comedy club on the ship. If you like the other guy, I'm watching all of his shows, and then if you hear something just pops in your head, I'll just text it to him, and if he wants to use it, use it. If not, don't. But you know what I mean? Just it's like the old days of I've got a tag for you, or
right.
Add this little thing.
How about when someone used to do? Someone would do that. I remember, and I'm like, and they go, "Hey, have you ever said this instead of that?" It seems so obvious, but yet, I never got to it. I'm going, you know what? Wow, that's perfect, and just
But the worst is when they give you one and it's no good.
Yeah.
And then
Billions
you
with a
ignore
B.
it. They go, "Hey, you didn't use my line." You go,
Oh.
I forgot. But
I
God.
forgot. Billions with a B.
I make a point of just like, if you don't want it, don't feel any pressure.
I used to work this club years ago in Brooklyn, and it was a total mob joint.
Toppers.
No, it was at Brooklyn, or was that it was Brooklyn?
Yeah,
Tickles.
Bay.
Tickles. Oh, near Pips?
Yeah, but it was near Pips, but
I've heard of Toppers, but I don't think I ever worked.
You never worked Toppers?
I don't think so. Maybe I did.
You had to.
I must have.
Underneath the Gold's Gym.
Oh, Toppers.
Gold
yes.
Gym was all mobbed up.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So I used to it was called Tickles, and it was clearly Tickles. I don't think it lasted very long, but it was totally mopped up. I won't even say the guy's name that ran it, but he was a comedy fan. He loved comedy. I think that's why he opened this club, and he owned the place. Loved comedy, and he liked my act. He just loved my act, and every time I was in there, he would give me a suggestion. Why don't you say this instead of that? And when this guy gave you a suggestion, it wasn't a suggestion. It was do this next time.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, do this next time. And you look and you go, sometimes they were like, all right, that's not really going to matter, but I'll do it.
Right.
And it'll, hey, it worked.
If you want your thumbs.
What's that?
If you want your thumbs.
Yeah, totally. Exactly. Absolutely. And other times you look and you go, oh, that's horrific. That is so not funny. But when Frankie said, why don't you try this? You tried it.
That's right. When the boss laughs, we all laugh.
That's right.
And
he was happy and he
fucking
paid me.
Funny.
Yeah. So
he wanted to be able to say, I wrote that. I gave that to him. I told him to do that.
I never heard of this. I don't know what.
It was only around for a few months. I think it was a front.
Yeah. It's amazing. Tickles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Toppers was the same. Remember? And then there was a guy, Rocky. He ran the door. He's an older guy. And
a guy named Rocky ran the door, and it was mobbed up.
Yeah, a little bit. And he would tell us who he liked and who he didn't like. And it was funny. It was almost always the funniest guys out there he didn't like. But if you were hacky maneki, with the shit, he loved it.
Oh my God, I loved all that.
And then Toppers closed. And we were all talking somewhere and said, what about Rocky? And they go, yeah, Rocky's been missing for like a month.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, bye-bye, Rocco. Rocky Raccoon.
Missing for a month.
Missing
Witness protection?
Missing.
Or missing?
I think he was more probably in the trunk of a car at Kennedy Airport. Missing,
Yeah.
Parking lot, long-term parking C.
You start on Long Island. What do you wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a comedian? How does this happen?
Well, I always wanted to take acting classes. So I took an acting class locally. And that's where I met Gary Valentine, who was in the same acting class that I was in. And I took the class for a while, several months, and Gary was like, why don't you come to East Side Comedy Club with me on Wednesdays and do some improv, take an improv class. I'm like, all right. I never really thought about it, but I went. I started going there on Wednesdays. And then from that, Gary was like, why don't you do stand-up? We're all doing stand-up. You're not doing stand-up. And one night we used to do it was like an open mic night at East Side. And then to close the show, we did 30 minutes of improv with an improv group. And one night, Gary was hosting the show, and I had been preparing and thinking about doing stand-up. And he goes, hey, this next guy has no idea he's coming up. They used to call me GV. Here he is, GV. And I'm like, what? And I just went up, and I was so baptized by fire. So I was a little bit prepared, but not really prepared. And I just did like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and I had the bug. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right. So now I'm going to keep doing this. But I don't think Gary would necessarily remember that. It was so long ago. But I remember it was my first time doing stand-up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it was kind of by surprise.
And I love how they assign the nicknames to you, Like we all know in the circles you're Vac. So But GV.
I remember GV. I mean, when I met him, because then I show up there and it sees GV
Yeah.
for years.
Years.
And then it was Greg Vaccarello, his name.
Yeah.
But now you're going by Greg Vac.
Now I go by Greg Vac because I'll tell you what, particularly since we came back from the pandemic, I've had so many people just cringe about my last name, like way more than ever. It's a long last name. And they would look at it and go, how do you say that? And especially like if somebody's introducing me and they're like, oh, I'm from Portugal, I know how to say it. And they go out on stage and they just forget.
Yeah.
And they would just mangle it. They would say it perfectly backstage. I go, oh, okay, then you got it. And they'd go out and say, Greg Vacu. I'm saying, you know what, just say Greg Vac.
Greg Vac.
When I grew up, I was Vac. Some people never knew my first name.
Yeah.
For years.
Right.
Hey, Vac, what's going on? So I went, you know what, just say Greg Vac and make it easy. And I know Kate, like here on this ship, is like, great, thank you. It just makes it easier. And they don't have to worry about it when they're out there. We're trying to remember credits and my last name. So
well, Ducharme, I've had to live with Ducharme, and I don't know. Ducharme is my favorite when someone screws it up. I actually almost changed it to Ducharme. But going back to names for a second, Gary Valentine, who's Kevin James' brother, is that their original last name, Valentine?
No.
Or
no, for them,
did he change it? Both?
He was first.
Names?
They both, both. It's a stage name for both. The real last name is, I don't know. Niffing.
Yeah, it's not a secret. I don't think it's a big secret.
I'm trying to. Some people who listen to the podcast don't know, so I'm trying to share with them.
No, it's a good. It's a good inside baseball thing. Yeah, Niffing.
Right.
But yeah, I think Gary was first with the names because I remember going to a gig with Kevin, and he was teaching or taking some kind of karate jujitsu, and we were in the car, and he goes, "I'm going to be Kevin KO."
I remember that.
And I go, Kevin KO? He goes, yeah, I'm Kevin KO. And I was like, okay. And then I don't know, that lasted whatever. And then he was, I think James was his middle name.
No, I think James was just a friend's name.
Okay.
As I recall. And he took his friend's first name and went with Kevin James. But they both took a stage name for his last name because they were smart. I probably should have done that.
Well, the last name too was KNIPF. I mean, it's crazy.
It's crazy with silent letters and all that stuff. And I know. So they
silent letters. Forget it.
Silent letters in the last name.
I'm pronouncing it. I don't want anybody telling me that a letter is silent when I want to pronounce it. Kniffenat.
Yeah. I want to say. So they both took stage names. And actually, so did Rock Rubin. You guys know Rock, of course, right?
All right.
But he changed his first name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I never. I mean, I never asked him why. Or I just never. I always wondered when you think about why.
Nancy Rubin.
Mike Rubin. But I think, as I recall, there was a story years ago about some other comic with a very similar name. The first name was like, I don't know what, Mark, something like that, and people were getting them mixed up.
Okay.
And not in a good way for Mike. Okay, from what I understand. So Mike, well, I'm going to change my last name. So he just changed his first name to Rock. So he just goes.
Any reason why Rock was chosen? Rock Hudson?
Don't know.
The Rock.
Never knew. Never asked. Never thought of it. Yeah.
Even The Rock dropped The Rock. Dwayne Johnson.
Did he? It's just Dwayne Johnson now.
Because he's not a wrestler anymore.
But he does. I don't follow.
He's an actor.
He did something. Yeah, but he did some kind of WrestleMania recently. He was there.
Well, but he would bring his name back out.
Then he's The Rock.
Stage name.
The Rock.
Okay. So when you start now, you're at East Side with these guys. You have a job during the day.
Yeah. I used to teach.
You were teaching.
I taught high school for a year.
Wow.
And then I taught history, and then. When I started really doing comedy more, it's so difficult to do comedy at night. And they get up at 5 a.m. and you're at school at 7 and teach all day. I mean, they don't work together. So I started substitute teaching. So I substitute taught for years and years. This way I could be more selective on days to work. You know what I mean? Or if I was traveling, I just wouldn't work on Friday. I'm driving somewhere.
Right.
And it was a lot easier that way. So I taught for years and years. I did that alone. I actually substitute taught in my old high school, which was really interesting.
Wow.
To go back into
You're
my
the
old high
teacher
school.
in the classroom you were in, or something.
Yeah,
That's right.
I used to
Going back
substitute
in
teach.
time.
Yeah, it was.
Ba-da-bum-bum-bum.
I
McFly.
would actually.
Marty, you've got to come back with me. Where? Back to the future.
I would substitute teach for teachers that I had. They would look at me and go, "Didn't you graduate yet?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's 2 years ago."
That's Back to the Future-y kind of weird.
It's weird because they would leave their lesson plans. I go, "I remember this lesson. You haven't changed a word from this when I had you 18 years ago, whatever it was."
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would substitute teach for my old high school. Yeah,
Wow.
That's
It was-
pretty
it was
cool.
kinda neat.
And then you were on the road enough or working enough where you could not have to teach.
Yeah.
You get to the point you go,
Yeah.
okay, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
You were in Florida for a time.
Mm-hmm.
What was going on with that? Were you lived in Florida?
I did. I lived when I was first starting out doing stand-up. I was still basically doing open mics, maybe getting some of those early hosting gigs. Right at that point. And actually, Gary Valentine and Rock Rubin had gone down to Florida, and just to get a different environment, see what it was like. And they called me like, "Dude, you got to come down here. There's stage time everywhere. We can get you on." And so I said, "All right." And I moved to Florida, figured I'll give it a year because it was easier getting stage time there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll come back to New York with a little more material under my belt. I wound up meeting someone, stayed for 4 years, but and then I went back up to New York after that. But when I went back to New York, I had an act.
Right. And what part
Right,
of Florida were you in?
I was in South Florida. I was over by Boynton Beach and
what was the club at there?
Coconuts?
The Strip. Well, Coconuts was everywhere.
Okay.
I used to work at the Strip. I would work at there's a club called Haggerty's.
Haggerty's.
Remember Haggerty's?
Yes.
Yeah, Haggerty's in Boca. And I would do the Improv in Miami a bunch. I would do it like once a month. And
Comedy Corner.
Comedy Corner, West Palm
It was
Beach.
a lot of work.
Yeah,
Wow.
just there.
Yeah.
Just a region. There was
Uncle Funny's.
Uncle
You worked Uncle Funny's now?
I did not
Ever go
work
on
Uncle Funny,
Funnies?
but I had a funny uncle. You guys both look like a Rocky Balboa. You look like you just the fight scene in Rocky Balboa right now. You're all like, "Adrian!" It's great. I'm gonna have so much fun in post. I am going through the inside passage, and it's cloudy, so it could be my reception here.
I did that. Went back up to New York, and then I started focusing a lot on taking acting classes, which was great. It was great. I studied with Joanna Bexon and Alice Spivak, and so I started doing more of that. I started doing more of that also, and I got on a bunch of Law and Orders. I did some national commercials, and it really had not been for any of that, I wouldn't have had the guts to go on auditions and know how to handle it and all that. So
She had a lot of comics, right? And her Joanna Bexon.
yeah.
I remember guys who were doing it.
Yeah.
I remember that name as the teacher.
Yeah. Joanna. I
Yeah,
studied with
that was
Joanna
a
for
common
couple
name people
years.
referred to. Joanna Bexon.
Yeah.
Bexon.
Yeah.
Comics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So started doing a lot of that, and then gave LA a shot, and then I went, just wasn't really happening.
Mhm. Are you doing cruises at all at that point?
No,
Okay.
no, I haven't done cruises yet. Moved to Vegas. I met my now ex-wife. She lived in Vegas, so I moved to Vegas, got married there, and that's where I met. I was doing a show in Vegas called Sin City Comedy and Burlesque, and I met
Dormer.
Dorian Marr.
Mhm.
And then when she started working for Royal, then that's when she called me and said, "Do you want to start doing shifts?" So
Interesting.
all that's how it all happened.
I think it would have happened even if you hadn't met Dory, and at this point you would have found an in,
Yes.
and you'd been, because it really does make sense. I mean, if you're a comic and you want to work and make some money,
Yeah.
some of the guys I don't get, I've said to them, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't really want to do that," and it's like, well, but you're doing comedy anyway.
Yeah.
You're in your car or you're flying.
Yeah.
You're making less money. It's more difficult. I don't understand why you wouldn't.
I don't understand
Okay.
it at all.
Okay.
I have to admit, though, that I was a little bit apprehensive or nervous before I did my first gig on the ship. Because you hear so many things, and I just didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And but I was on the Allure, which is like the Oasis Comedy Club. And okay, it was a good way to start because I was with another comic who had done it 1,000 times. Oh, dude, don't worry, just do your act.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of gave me a little bit of a chance to breathe. And okay, just go do your show. Instead of not knowing, you're in the theater, is it family friendly? So now I know.
Oh yeah,
but I didn't know any of that back then.
well, there's no background. Like now, comics, you can go on Facebook and there's groups, guest entertainers helping each other or whatever. But when we started, you just walked on the ship and it was like they had maybe a letter.
Yeah.
And but you had to find the cat. I mean, you're on your own, man.
Yeah.
There was no help. Nobody's holding your hand.
Nobody.
And now it's very helpful, which it's better, I guess, but wasn't there for us.
No. And they've actually gotten better about extending that letter, giving you a lot of detail. Sometimes it's not accurate, but I remember I didn't know where I was. Nobody knew. I wasn't on the manifest. They go, wait over there. I'm sitting there for an hour. I'm going, excuse me, just wait there. I'm like treating you like a, piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Oh, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And then I call my agent. I go, hey, listen, I'm going to jump in a taxi and go home. They're like, no. And then of course, 20 minutes later, oh, we're so sorry. Well, I had to threaten to leave to be treated like, something.
Yeah. Yeah. But once you get it, you get going, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then I found the other crews, it's all the same. I mean, they're all basically this, to a degree. Like I had never done Holland. I did it earlier or last year. And all in all, it's kind of the same. It's still a ship. It's the same thing.
And the strip search is just a part of that line.
Well, that's for you.
What they do.
Yeah, that's
with no one else.
we don't get we don't get that.
You mean
it's in your writer? That's why you know it. You want it.
Yeah.
You can't live without it.
Hands on.
And
You know it.
you're rather hands on. So you go out. What's your first ship?
The Allure.
Ooh, that's the first ship.
First ship I did was the Allure.
Ooh.
And it was a fill-in because I was just starting. So somebody had either canceled or I don't know what it was. But so I found out kind of short notice. I went, yeah, I'll do it. And I did the Allure. And actually, the next 2 times I worked for Royal was also the Allure. So I don't know if they just said somebody had canceled a few weeks or what it was. So my first 3 weeks were on the Allure, which is like the Oasis with the comedy club, the whole bit. And then the next ship I was on, which I forget what it was, but I figured, I'll just go to the comedy club. And there was no comedy club. I'm on deck 4. I'm going, where's the comedy club? What are you talking about? I'm like, oh my God, this is different. And then it's like 30 minutes, welcome aboard. I'm like, on the Allure, I can do whatever I wanted. But you learn, you just learn as you go, you do it. Basically, they just don't be clean. It's a welcome aboard. It's family friendly. So, now I get it now.
Yeah.
Now on this ship,
when I hear these stories of guys not knowing what they're doing, but it's kind of common sense. Like there was a story where the guy did welcome and then he had a late night show, but he just repeated his welcome show.
Yeah.
Because he said no one told him. But shouldn't you just as a comic and a person know we're on a ship? Odds are the same people are going to be in that theater.
Of course.
Why would I do the same jokes for them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know every time. I don't think we have to, have our hand held in that way. It's like, it seems obvious.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wife is calling and it's killing our signal for a second.
What?
Let me just message her to say I'm podcasting.
Did you not tell her you're podcasting at 10 a.m. Alaska time? Okay.
I didn't tell her.
All right. I heard it.
I just messaged her. Now,
All right.
I just said podcasting. Now she comes back with, oh, okay. I didn't know what time. All right, let's see what happens. Please continue.
So that's about 7 years ago, your first cruise?
Yeah, about 7-8 years ago, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
And every year, my first year, obviously, because I'm sure the calendar had already been booked. Now that I look at it, I'm sure it was already booked. So I just did some fill-in weeks. I probably did maybe 12 weeks that year, and I'm sure there were just somebody canceled or whatever the case was, and I filled in, and then it started to get busier and busier, and then freaking pandemic.
And where were you what was your last ship when the pandemic? Do you remember like walking off the ship and hearing and going, oh, I may be fucked?
Yeah, I think it was the Anthem, because I remember finding the CPAS card on a jacket during the pandemic. And go, those are the dates I got off. So I'm not sure it was the Anthem. And I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy. Oh, this is going to blow over. They canceled 2 weeks. And, basically everybody thought, go home for a couple, remember 15 days to flatten the curve? Turn it to 15 months.
Flatten the curve.
Remember that? That's what they would tell us.
I was all prepared to do 1 to 2 months. And that first month, I was enjoying it. I was like,
This guy
oh,
had
a
the
little
time of his
break,
life.
recharging my
He had-
batteries.
He had the time of his life during COVID. He did. He was home.
No, for a month.
They were both
And you
getting
keep doing,
unemployment.
don't you
He had
change
some
my
money. They
story.
were ordering food. He was in his pajamas
I did.
every day.
Dude, we were ordering Whole Foods, which
were having a good
I don't
time.
go to, having it delivered. I'm like, woo, we were doing it up. Bottles of wine. A buddy of mine had a restaurant 2 blocks away. He goes, I'll give it to you for cost. Cases of wine. He'd deliver them.
Yeah,
We were just having a great time. And then I'm like, 6 weeks in, I'm like, when is this going to be over? Honey, we got to go back to Stop and Shop.
Yeah. Stop and Shop.
Which they don't even have on the West Coast, but
Yeah.
I knew it'd be funnier than Ralph's.
Yeah. So it hits, you're home, and then you get the offer, because I did that adventure, the first cruise 5 months. You got offered to do one of those.
I got offered to do the Serenade.
Oh.
And that originally 6 months. And then at some point during the cruise, they asked me to do it on the month. So I did 7 months on the Serenade.
Wow.
Actually, we went to Alaska. We were the first cruise ship to go back to Alaska. But we started in Florida. So we came around, went through the canal. I'd never done that before. That was kind of neat.
Panama Canal.
In quarantine for a few weeks. So we came around, went to Seattle. And then we just did, as you guys did, just get the ship ready for passengers. Everything has, I forget the term they use, but just prepare everything, make sure everything's working, make sure everything's functioning, make sure the crew's ready to go. So we did that. I think we were on that ship for over a month, well over a month before we saw a passenger.
Yeah.
Because
that was kind of weird, huh?
It was, I looking back, I loved it, man. Literally was paid to go to the gym and smoke cigars.
Right.
That's what I was paid to do. That's all I did every
You
day.
love the pandemic. You love the you loved it. It was the best time of your cruise
I
career.
noticed Al Ducharme wasn't on any ship for 4 or 5 6 months.
I had the offers, but I said I could
know,
only
but you
do
didn't take
I
it.
could only do 3 months because I had 2 obligations. And they said, we'll get back to you. And they come back. Okay, we got you 5 months. I'm like, I can only do 3 months. Came back again. We got you 4 months. I'm like, is anybody listening? Because they were all in a panic. Obviously, everybody was in a panic. So I ended up doing 3 weeks, going home a week and going back for 3 weeks. So I did that quite a bit in the beginning. But that was weird. We had 1/3 the passengers.
Yeah.
1/3 the passengers, and that some of those big 1,200 seat theaters.
Well, we have Mario.
They had to be spread out.
Mario and Daniel, the 2 funny guys. They're on the ship too this week with us on Oasis.
Oh,
and
wow.
they did
That's a comedy overkill.
Oh yeah, we have it's pretty Ron Lucas and Earl Turner.
Wow.
I mean, it's 9 days, so I guess they loaded it up.
With acts
but anyway,
show up.
They did the pandemic cruise, after pandemic cruise, and they were talking about having 50 people in the theater. In that, I had 500 people on board, but we had probably 250 in the room. It still sucked.
Yeah,
but 50. I mean, that's just
rough.
It's an empty theater. Yeah. But it was tough, man. But so you do it, pandemic, you get through it. Now you're back working.
Back working. It's pretty much back to normal now. Thank God. I'm working on a script which I really like, and I know everybody says that.
Everyone does.
But I've written it. Not kind of. I've written a script, and I've got 4 episodes for a show sitcom.
Couple of detectives from 1954.
They always wear hats. I call them dicks, but I don't know what you.
All right.
Private dicks kind of thing.
That'd work.
And
we need a new showrunner. So
yeah, so I'm working on that, and hopefully,
You want to? Is there a premise? You want to mention it, or
it takes place. It takes place. Well, should I? I don't know. Would people steal the idea?
Hold on a second.
Well,
yeah, what it takes place.
Well, you're recording this, right?
No, I don't record these.
It's about a guy who moves from New York to Pahrump, Nevada.
All right.
And all that ensues while having. I mean, Pahrump is a very unique place. I don't know if you know Pahrump at all.
I only know it from comedians making fun of it.
That's right. It's just the name.
It's an hour west of Vegas.
West, yeah, exactly, of Vegas.
So closer to LA.
California border. Mm-hmm. It's an hour west and 50 years behind Vegas. Mm. It's a totally different vibe than Vegas. Completely different. It's much more small town, but it's being invaded by
Californians.
Californians mostly,
I think aliens
who are fleeing California. And
is this real or the script?
No, that's real.
That's real.
But I've incorporated it into the script, like the battle. You're
staying relevant.
Yeah. So it's called The Prince of Pahrump, and I
like that. Let me write that down.
Yeah.
Good name.
You got to recall. I'll send it. I'll email you. Yeah. So it's called The Prince of Pahrump. I hate to say like this. People who have read it can see it as a show. They can see episodes. It's this guy who goes out there not intending to stay there. And something happens, and now he's got to stay for at least a year. Mm. And he just gets himself embroiled and entrenched in the Pahrump life. And kind of against his will, but he has to do it. Hence the comedy.
Right.
Hence the comedy. He had wanted to retire to Florida.
What is the Pahrump life?
It's
give me a
what
cross.
Kind of is carrying? What do you got there? It's more like
Earl meets what?
Right.
My name is Earl meets.
It's kind of a little bit Everybody Loves Raymond. It's a little bit Ozark. Yeah, you know what I mean, and it's a little bit.
Would this be a comedy?
That's funny for the pitch.
Yeah, dark.
That's funny for the pitch. It's a cross between Everybody Loves Raymond and Ozark. It's called Everybody Loves the Ozarks.
Everybody loves the Ozarks.
Like
this. There it is. So that's the idea behind it, and I've had a few people that have read it have really liked it, and I think I'm at a point where I'm being encouraged to try to raise money, which I'm horrible at.
You have a couple of wealthy comedian pals,
I guess.
I know it's the most hard. That's the most.
Rick D'Elia just did it.
Anything.
Rick D'Elia did it with Don't Suck, and you got Jamie Kennedy and Matt Rife, who's on fire right now, and Russell Peters.
Who put the money up?
We know.
Who put the money up for Rick's
The
movie?
seed money, the initial money to get everybody else to jump on, was a wealthy couple that Rick knows, and they said, "Yeah, we're retired now. We've got money. We'd always like to make a movie," and they came up with the concept. He wrote the script, and that because we had him on the podcast, he explained all this. But
I don't remember.
He wrote the script, did a few rewrites, put it all together. Pandemic hits, so they had to shoot and do the protocols during pandemic. But it took them about 2 years total. But they got it. He said, but if it wasn't for the seed money and this wealthy couple saying write a script, he said that was a stupid idea. His story he told was, he goes, I don't think that idea would work. And they go, well, we have $250,000. Let me get you a first draft and see where we can go from there.
Yeah. That's what I would
once you have somebody putting money in at six figures, then people go, oh, what? And then production company comes in. Oh, okay. Well, we'll donate our cameras if we get a piece of it, if it takes off. And that's how you
right. Yeah, it's hard to I'll just say, well, you have plenty of comedian friends who have money, and I do. It's just I'd like them to remain friends.
Exactly. That's
that's
the rub. I mean, it's like there's the guy with the money, but if I ask him for the money, I can't really talk to him ever again.
No, right.
I might get the money, but I'll never talk to him again.
Never talk to him again. It would have to be a thing where it's oh yeah, cool, no problem, guy. Here's some money, and it have to be a thing where they fully expect to never see it again in case it doesn't go anywhere. Like I can never make a promise you'll get your investment back in a year and you'll double your money. I can't do that. But I'd love to be able to shoot it
If you can get them
Either-
to read the script, that's
key.
elevator pitch. And then, can I send you the script? Will you have time? They might have an assistant read it, but at least that's how you do it. But if you can get them to read 12 pages by the pool of one of their many houses,
Yeah.
if you can grab them, and they said that first 10 pages, if you can grab them, they'll read the rest of it.
Who do you see as the Prince of Pahrump?
Oh, me.
Oh,
Absolutely.
you cast him.
Absolutely.
Oh,
It's a vehicle for myself.
of course.
It-
What was I thinking?
You're insane. But
Would
I
you be
love-
willing
I
to
love-
surrender that to get it made?
If it was all done properly
Uh,
and the person playing the Prince of Pahrump was, yes.
we have.
I wouldn't
Timothy
even hold that up
Chalamet.
if it's done properly. I'm like, yes,
Yeah, just take,
yes.
I want the money.
Get Vac is available.
But you always hear the story about Stallone with Rocky.
Yeah,
He just wouldn't do it unless he was Rocky.
right. But he was. I think I was looking at it like he was 25 or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
He had time to recover. I was going by age, boys, with these decisions. When somebody says, "Hey, are you willing to have someone else play this role beside yourself?"
So
My
you
first choice
could
is me,
see
but yes.
selling it.
Not just selling it,
You could
getting
see
it.
selling it, have someone else in it,
Yeah.
but you'd like a piece of it.
I'd like a piece of it.
Oh no, I want to be. I want to be on
set.
set. I want to be, production.
Yeah.
Something producer.
Yeah. Exactly.
Written by is fine, but I want
Yeah.
a little bit more.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
a good time to be writing and pitching shows right now. It's a
Perfect.
time.
Because
Perfect.
when when
Thanks,
AI
good.
takes over,
Yeah. Oh,
no, when the strike is at 101 days, I believe the strike is at 101
yeah.
days.
Yeah, and then AI hears about the Prince of Pahrump and spits out 9 seasons in
Spits it
10 seconds.
And they're all
AI
great.
and AL look the same in print, by the way.
Yes.
You're right. The 2 AIs, 1 pod.
Yeah.
We can just take
Two
off.
AIs, one
we can
pod.
just let AI do it.
And it just takes up. We don't have to do anything. It's just auto.
Maybe it would take
Just-
off. That would be awesome.
Two AIs, one pod.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder what's going to happen with the strike. It's been, like you said, 100 days, right?
Yeah, I don't have any feel for it at all. I don't really know what if they're close
Well, we
to
don't.
either side.
I'm a union member and I pay my dues every year, but unless I'm doing some really voiceover work, I don't really have much need for it. I never agreed with the merging of AFTRA SAG. I always thought that was in the beginning. I'm like, yeah, and then when I learned more about it, I'm like, oh, it's really 2 different kind of things, and they became a weaker union, I believe.
Yeah.
A
lot of people feel that way.
I just don't know how they can win this in a way because you have these, millionaire billionaires. They could sit back and they keep saying that 95% of the industry doesn't really make a living.
Right.
Well, those
less
people,
than $26,000.
yeah, those people have nothing to live on, so they're going to have to work. They're going to get jobs, but it just seems like they're going to have to cave.
Yeah.
Unless it goes longer and you need new content and the studios want it. But it seems like to me the studios can sit back. You can sit back for a year and just let these guys starve to death. I mean, it's going to be tough. I don't know what the answer is.
Tough. And that's why
I don't know what the answer
America's Got Talent is cranking it up a little bit right now. There's a few people we know that are involved and like, hey, I got a call back. I'm going back again. It's just like, yes, you are.
Yeah.
During the strike.
Any unscripted.
They're gonna squeak out more episodes and whatnot. And they have to play the game too,
Yeah.
So get on that.
It doesn't fall
Patreon,
into the rules.
folks.
It falls under game show.
Sign up for it because we could be on strike soon. We don't know. We need Patreon.
Yeah. Now let me ask you a question. The cruise you're on now, how are they doing it? Because I've been on both of these ships, the Allure and the Oasis recently, and they've changed it where they got rid of the family show in the theater. And
Correct.
Whereas I did it last year and they added a family show to the theater. So you did a welcome aboard show in the theater, and then you did a family show and then an adult show, and then the rest of the shows were in the club, and it was ridiculous. It didn't make sense.
Was that on the Allure?
I think it was.
Yeah. The Allure, for some reason, was doing a little bit differently. I haven't been on the Allure in about a year, but on the Oasis, we have no welcome aboard show, no family-friendly shows at all. It's right to the club, and then tonight we'll do an adult show in the theater, which will be different than the club show, but still an adult show.
Yeah, no clean material or family material.
No family material, just adult shows.
Which only. I kind of like. I mean, I don't mind either way, but I kind of like the first night just doing one show in the theater, family. Like I didn't mind that at all. And then because it was one, it was an easy start. Where now you just like, well, Greg and me, we came on last week, and you just start up, and the headliners, they were the two funny guys. They had two shows their first night. So
yeah,
it's a little different, but I think the Oasis class now is all away from family comedy.
Oh,
I think the comedy's all adult in the club.
Because most of the kids, with the exception of some teens that are into it, are comedy junkies, which is only a few. A majority of them are into their own little world. And even the little kids that are sitting in the front row, which they're not supposed to, I'm talking 5, 6 years old, the little girls in the Cinderella dresses running around, 5 minutes, the attention span, it's a waste. It becomes a babysitting job. And in the summertime up here in Alaska, I've never seen so many kids before. It's just, we had 500 last cruise.
Oh, well, I think they're marketing it more different. It's different because we were talking about this last night. There's 1 million kids on board right now. And
summertime.
At a Bayonne in August, it's just,
Yeah.
So it's different. There's a different feeling. I don't know, how they're doing it. But Alaska's strange to have a lot of kids. That seems, Alaska was always
it's skewed older money.
Yeah.
So the cruises are cheaper now. It's hard to get to, though. Some of these places, unless you're going out of Seattle.
Yeah.
Anchorage, Vancouver, you got to go to a different country.
Is your ship docked in Seattle?
No, it starts in Seward, goes to Vancouver, turnaround day, new cruise, goes back to Seward. And they flew me in and a few other entertainers into Seward. Why not fly Vancouver? It's cheaper, it's easier, so that you leave and return from Vancouver. It's a 2.5 hour, 2 hour and 20-minute flight to LA for me. Now I have to fly to Anchorage. I got to stay overnight and take a 2.5 to 3 hour bus or a 6 hour train. It's insane. Oh, you guys are frozen and you're not talking just the way I like it. I think we're going to have to wrap it up, guys, because we're at an hour on the clock, and I think I'm going to shave off 10 minutes, so we'll be at 50.
Okay.
So Greg, you're going to be on the ships for the foreseeable future?
Yes. I have nothing booked on land for the rest of this year. It's all just doing the ships. Yeah.
Oh, good for you, man. All right. Well, the
Thanks.
bank account
And the Prince of Pahrump.
The Prince of Pahrump. If you have money, you want to send money to make it, let me know.
Wait a minute. He's rolling in the cash right now. He's on cruise ships. Don't give him any money.
Yeah.
And Romas, how long are you gonna be on the ship, and where are you next?
We're doing one more week. We'll be here another week, starting Sunday. So yesterday, if you're hearing this on Monday. And then I think I'm on the Harmony of the Seas maybe next. I'd have to look, but I think it's the Harmony. But check out Greg's podcast.
New Bits with
brand new bits.
And you guys are inspiring me, by the way. Go ahead. You wanted to mention something.
I just wanted to know, you've done a few. Do you guys do guests, or is it just the two of you doing it? Or
we actually had one guest on, and ideally we'd love to have guests. I think having a guest is great. We were talking about that, Ali, the other day. And if we have a guest comic on, whoever wants to do it with an idea, then the three of us just bang it out and see what we can come up with. And then hopefully the guest comic gets to try the material and then get back to us on how it went.
See that guy right there? Where is he? Romas is on. You should do an episode this week.
No, we'll do one this week if Al wants to. I mean, sure. If he has something you want to try, and
you're gonna have to ask his agent.
I've been working on a bit all week. You know, the pool.
Oh yeah, okay,
I've been
yeah.
banging
I got a
that out.
gut feeling about this bit that you're doing, Al.
Yeah. Oh no,
Gut
that's another bit I had. Hey, maybe I'll bring that one. I had a bit for a year. We've been playing with it on here.
Oh,
And
okay.
it can't work. It doesn't work. But
I
can
actually
bring that
did it.
one
I did it in
next
Arizona on stage. I actually recorded it. I don't know where that recording.
Yeah, we
is.
had
I
kind
probably
of the
deleted
same
it.
idea you guys are doing.
Okay.
We worked on it, and then Al was working that weekend, so he goes, "I'll do it on stage,
Okay.
and I'll let you know how it went." And it
You
didn't
didn't.
go
That's
well.
because you didn't have any passengers on the ship yet
Right.
for a
That's
month.
right. I had the bit,
That's
but I couldn't. But yeah, I knew it. I wanted to do, and I think you guys might be. I don't know if you're thinking that way. Have the bit, work on the bit, and then record it,
Right.
and then play the actual
Right.
bit live, so you could hear what goes good or the bomb or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I think that'd be kind of fun.
Well, that's what I'm doing with my phone. I'm recording every show.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be able to figure out a way to get just that bit taken out of the set and send it over to Vinny because we'll play it, but it's just on the phone. I don't know how good the recording would be for people to listen to, but
Right.
that's
I would
the
just-
idea.
I would just
fly or
airdrop
die,
it.
say.
I would just airdrop it, and then you can put some subtitles in there, so you get all the words.
Okay,
That's
all right, try that.
my opinion. Well, I commend you both for taking on the gay cruises. I haven't done one, but you don't have to be gay. You don't have to be gay to do a gay cruise. They've opened up to everybody, and you guys are out there showing, hey, it's cool.
We're not gay. We've never been gay.
Never been gay.
Cruises. You're gay. What the fuck? This guy. We don't have a breakdown here.
Oh my god.
Happy editing. Have fun.
Happy end.
So long, man. Have a good trip.
Iceberg, dead ahead. Don't forget to review us and rate us. It really helps.
The Talking Dicks became friends at a very young age, and the rest is history.
I'm losing my mind.
Patreon.com/The2Dicks, which is named after our web series. This is the 2 Als 1 Pod podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Done.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
We'll fix it in post, you son of a bitch.
Okay, sure.
All right. Subscribe. Mary. This was a horrible mistake.
Go to patreon.com/The2Dicks.
If you shoot me, you won't see a cent of that money. Why?
I think it ends on that. That's beautiful.